He says, "Hello, Holyrood Sources. On a recent podcast, Andy Maciver made a powerful argument for why increasing capacity is the key to tackling the crisis in our NHS. Superficially, it's an appealing line. We have fewer hospital beds relative to comparable nations. We have chronic understaffing across the sector. Employ more people, build more hospitals, we can do more good stuff. This argument is simple, easy, and wrong. It's like managing an overflowing bath by buying more buckets. You need to turn off the tap. It isn't capacity that's the problem, it's demand. And demand is a much more painful nettle to grasp. We turn off the tap by placing far greater focus on prevention to reduce the pressures on the capacity we already have. And we need to have real discussions about the things we fund and the things we prioritise. We make decisions about priorities, both actively and passively, but don't always include the people most affected by those decisions, nor do we communicate those decisions honestly and openly. The NHS can do so much, but it can't do it all. More capacity may be part of the solution, but it's not the silver bullet," says Dr. Thomas.
I don't disagree. Actually, he will be pleased. Dr. Thomas will be pleased to hear that he and I are in the same club. We can get jackets made and go out and talk about it. Listen, when the thing is, when you're answering questions on the NHS, which I do quite a lot, and writing about the NHS, you can't always get everything covered at the same time. I agree with him that it isn't just about capacity. I think we have a capacity issue. The stats are very, very clear and obvious on that, which is that for the amount of money we spend, we have a very poor return in terms of capacity, and I include in that beds, hospitals, scanners, nurses, doctors, and doctors in training, which are also very low compared to other countries. I stand by that. The capacity issue, even if the NHS did less, which I think it should, I think he's right about that, the capacity issue would probably still be there. But fundamentally, he is correct. The NHS that we created in 70 odd years ago, which fundamentally is the same model that we have right now. It's the only unmodernized service in the country, really. Did far less. I mean, it did much, much less back then than it does now. Expectations of it were less, and the amount that it tried to do was much less. And there is no question that there needs to be a conversation here about what the NHS does and what the NHS doesn't do, what the state is responsible for and what the state is not responsible for. So I agree with him completely. We don't disagree at all. I think he probably just heard my capacity bit and reasonably thought that I meant that we should increase capacity and still do the same stuff. I don't. I think we should increase capacity, but we should also do less at the same time.